Good morning, Better Choice Charter School for Girl fourth graders. This is Mrs. Forbes coming in from Casa de Forbes, like I have been every day this week. Anyhow, today we're doing a review of lessons 10 through 12 on Zearn. It is Friday, although honestly, really, I'm filming this on Thursday, so it's a little weird for me, but for you, it's Friday right now, the 27th of March. This review is going to be similar to yesterday's. And again, it is something that we've seen before. So what I'm doing is I'm going to prove that 9/12 is equal to 3/4. So I'm going to go from smaller parts or units to larger units. And what I have to look for is how I can take these smaller parts and group them into a larger one. So I see right here that I have groups of three. So I can put these three together, these three together, these three together, and these three together. So what I did is I started with my 9/12, but then I divided it into groups of three. And when I did that, I now have one, two, three larger units out of one, two, three, four larger units. So 9/12 is equal to 3/4. We did a little bit of that yesterday. Moving on, I'm going to relate it to a number line. So let's say I have my number line. I have 0 on one end and 1 on the other end. And I am going to split it in half. So looking at my number line, I have 0 halves, 1/2, and this is actually 2/2. But I want to show that 1/2 is equivalent to something different, but with smaller pieces. So what I want you to do on your number line is we're going to cut each half in half. So we're changing our halves to fourths, and I'm going to do that with my green marker. So I'm cutting each half, here's 1/2, in half, and this other half in half. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 smaller parts. So 0 halves, well, that's the same as 0/4. But then here I have 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4. So these are my equivalent fractions for 1/2 equaling 2/4. And like I said, what I did was I cut each piece in two times smaller. So 1/2 is equal to 2/4. Let's try another example like that. This time, I want to start with a number line that's already cut into fourths. 0 On one end, I have 1, cut it in half, and then cut these pieces in half again. So now I have my 0. I have 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. I know that 1 whole is 4/4. And I know that 0, well, that just means I have 0/4. And what I want you to do is plot a point on 3/4. So 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. But now what I want to do is I want to partition those fourths into eighths. So just think to yourself, 4 times what gives you 8? Well, 2. So that means I have to break each fourth into 2 more pieces. So cutting this one in half, this one, and this one. So now I have 0, 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, 8/8. So again, 0/8, 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8. So we have a couple equivalent fraction pairs here. 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, and 8/8. So here's the one that we were concentrating on. 3/4 is the same as 6/8, just the pieces smaller. So what did we do? We started with the 3/4. We multiplied by 2 halves, and that equals 6/8. Now, I can go backwards too. I know that the opposite of multiplication is division. Bing, bang, boom. So 6/8 divided by 2 halves, putting those two littler pieces together, brings me right back to 3/4. Now, even though they didn't ask us to focus on this, I want to focus on the other equivalent fractions. I have 1/4 equaling 2/8. I have 2/4 equaling 4/8. We already have our 3/4 equaling 6/8. And then 1 whole can be cut into as many pieces as you want. 4/4, 8/8, 100 hundredths, doesn't matter. It also might be helpful to review Monday's lesson, which was actually lesson 29. So we're going to talk about this again in the future Zearn lessons, but you might want to review that video also to help you out with your assignment for today. And again, that's lessons 10 through 12. If you don't have access to Zearn or you haven't figured that out yet, here is a paper assignment for you. But I would rather you work on the Zearn assignments for me. So it is technically Friday. Have a great weekend, girls. And if you need to, use some of that time to catch up on some of your videos and lessons. Bye.